Hey yo, what is up FPG fam? Further here, and welcome back to another Snowbreak video. Now, before we jump into the video, I do want to address this up front by stating that I think the S-rank Chenxing is an amazing operative who's incredibly strong and arguably the best looking character in the game, in my opinion. Now, with that being said, after using her extensively for a couple of hours, I've noticed some glaring flaws that I don't think is inherently her fault, but will certainly deter some players, especially free-to-play players, from pulling for, and that's what I want to talk about in today's video. So I do hope you enjoy. I hope you get some value from it. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So the first thing that I did want to address is her weapon. So she's an AR assault rifle electrical damage user, and the problem with this is that her signature weapon, the anti-evil ward, is 100% necessary, and if anybody tells you different, they're just wrong. I'm sorry. It is 100% necessary, and the reason being is because not only what this weapon is doing is incredible, increasing electrical damage by 18% and crit damage amplifier by 12%. That's just right off the bat, that is incredible. And then when dealing electrical damage, gain 1 stack of Crimson Cloud, max 50 stacks. After obtaining the max number of stacks clear, encrypted Sky Shield state is activated for 5 seconds. The state attack is increased by 21%. Crimson Cloud effect can still be obtained when in Crimson Sky Shield state. Essentially, this makes her an extremely good damage dealer, and the thing about the S-rank Chenxing is that she is meant to be played as a main DPS. You can play her as support, you can even play her as a sub DPS, but she is made to be a main DPS just based off of her kit, based off of her neuro skills. That is what she's designed to be, and without that weapon, she is very underwhelming. And the reason being is because there's no real good 4-star alternatives to be able to use with her. So I think that is one major problem. To take it a step further, we had before her Kaguya. Now, the difference between her and Kaguya is that Kaguya is not necessarily a main damage dealer or a main DPS. She is more of a supportive, crowd controller, utility type operative that you can use on point if you want to, but that's not her main role. Her main role is to CC and to support the team and have a lot of utility in that aspect, and then have your other main DPS, whether it be Winter Solstice or Fenny Coronet, to do the damage for you. Whereas with the S-rank Chenxing, she's clearly meant to be a main DPS, so that further incentivizes you to get this weapon that clearly shows within the passive you want to do maximum damage. So that is the first issue that I have with this S-rank Chenxing, is that weapon. Now the second one is the logistics. Now if we go over to the event and we go over to the shop, this is where you're going to be able to obtain the quote-unquote recommended logistics, or the best in slot logistics for the S-rank Chenxing. The only problem that I see right now is that it's tied to this event. What I'm afraid of is that when this event leaves, you're not going to be able to obtain these logistics anymore. So with that being said, I think it would be extremely smart to put these logistics into the main pool that we have for logistics that you can farm after this event's over. I'm hoping that's what they do, and if they mention that in some patch notes or some bug fixes or a Twitter post, then you can let me know in the comments down below. I just haven't seen it. So that is the other issue that I take with this operative. Once again, not inherently her fault, it's just the nature of what we have going on, which is unfortunate. Once again, this was not a thing with the S-rank Kaguya that we had right before her. So that is another main difference between the two. Now the next thing I did want to bring up is more closely tied to the S-rank Kaguya, but also the S-rank Frisia as well, Frisia Hush. These new S-rank operatives, it feels as if you have to have a little more skill to pilot these operatives versus the older ones that we have in the game. The original S-rank operatives, Fenny Coronet, Wild Hunt, Winter Solstice, Marion Swift, these operatives are very easy to use. You use their skill, you use their ultimate, and then you run around and you just shoot. That's basically how you use them. There's not much skill that's involved, there's not much of a learning curve, and it's very easy to pilot them. Whereas with the newer ones that they came out with, starting with Frisia Hush, now Kaguya, and most recently the S-rank Chenxing, I see that there's a little more skill that's involved. You have to set things up. You can't just unga bunga everything and just press buttons, because you're not going to get the most out of them, and then they're going to feel very underwhelming. Let's use Frisia Hush as an example. She has an ultimate that I find to be incredibly strong, but a lot of people do not like the ultimate because you can't just throw it out whenever you want to, like Fenny Coronets or like Winter Solstice or like Wild Hunts. You have to set this ultimate up. you have to stun the enemies, you have to gain some distance, you have to reposition, you have to make sure you're in an advantageous situation in order to use Freesia Hush's ultimate safely and use it optimally, or else you're gonna get one clap, one bang. Now I know she has the shield and it got buffed, and that's a good thing, because before that you were definitely getting destroyed and you're gonna be in a compromised position. But now she has a shield, it's a little bit better, but still you have to be range. You cannot be up close because that shield's gonna get decimated easily. Same with Kaguya here. Kaguya has some skills and ultimates that you have to set up. You can't just throw it out or else you're gonna miss. It's not gonna hit properly. There's a lot of things that you have to do with Kaguya in order for her to feel extremely strong. Now, I do agree Kaguya is a little more easier to operate than Freesia Hush or the S-rank Chenxing that we're gonna get to here in just a moment, but she still takes a little more setup, a little more finesse than the other ones, the original ones. And then we have the S-rank Chenxing. Now, with S-rank Chenxing, a lot of people do not like her ultimate. I, on the other hand, think her ultimate is incredible, and I think it's one of the strongest, if not the strongest ultimate in the game when set up properly. You cannot just throw it out or else you're going to completely miss and it's going to be a feels bad moment. You have to set it up properly. You have to stun the enemies, you have to freeze them, you have to CC them in some situations, and you also have to do the standard skill and the support skill, so that way you detonate the slips and you detonate the markings and the scans and you absolutely nuke the field. But once again, if you have enemies running around and you just throw it out, then you're going to completely miss and whiff, and then it's going to be feeling extremely bad, and then you're going to be thinking that this ultimate is useless because the enemies are just running out of it. Well, that's just because you can't throw it out there. So sometimes you can find yourself in dire situations, and out of panic you use the ultimate without having any markings, any scans on, and it's just not hitting as hard as you want it to. Or you panic and you do it just to iframe something maybe, and you completely miss and the enemy's not even there. So that's just what I mean by that. Whereas with the other operatives, the originals, you can just do the ultimate because you don't have to set anything up. It kind of sets it up for you to be successful. So I think those are the main glaring flaws and the issues that I have personally with the S-rank Chenxing. Once again, most of them are not her fault. It's just the nature of what we have going on. And hopefully they improve upon that in the future and make some changes there. But I hopefully explained that in a concise way and I wasn't all over the place. Once again, just to reiterate, I think she's an amazing operative. I think she has tons of potential. I think she hits incredibly hard, and I think she is the best AoE operative in the game, damage dealer. And she's 100% meant to be played as a main DPS and not as like a support. Even though you can have her as support like I mentioned earlier, but she's certainly supposed to be a main DPS, and you're certainly supposed to build a team around her in that aspect, which I do plan on coming out with a video maybe after this one talking about some operatives that work really well with her and probably who you should put alongside her. So if you want to see that video, just let me know in the comments down below. And once again, I do hope you enjoyed. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name is Cody. You call me further. I'll see you all next one. Bye, guys.